What's up and good morning, everyone. I'm excited about today. Happy Wednesday. Hope you're doing great. Today's going to be an amazing day. Hey, listen, we're going to start out by talking about why we're actually here. A gentleman by the name of, I don't know how to pronounce his name. It's like Lush or Luck or Luke Crows. He's the author of the book, The Art of Quality Investing. I like some of his thesis. I have not read the book, but this is one of the things that he said. He said, we often talk about various complex metrics and numerical skills when it comes to investing and trading. However, I think the psychological aspect is ultimately the most important, yet the least understood. And then Adam Smith, or another legendary investor, because if you actually look this up online, it's debated on who actually said what I'm about to share with you. But regardless, these are all titans of industry in terms of investors, like they're legends in their investing success. But somebody that was a very successful investor said 80% of the market is psychology. Investors whose actions are dominated by their emotions are most likely to get into trouble. And we all know this to be true, right? But here's the issue. Most people say, if you just tell me what to do, I'll do it. And we're going to get into why that's not always the case. And let me kind of fast forward a little bit and just say, how many of us know somebody who were doing the right things, but they didn't get the right results? Because it has so much more to do with than just the skill set. I'm not saying don't work on your skills. In fact, that's what we do a lot of right here in this Discord, is to help you make better decisions and help you with the skill set and show you some of the things that we're looking at and some of the data feeds that we have and some of the tools that we use, because developing your skill is obviously important. You're never going to be a great trader if you don't know what you're doing and if you don't have some complex skills that you've developed that have given you confidence and competency. However, that's only part of the formula that it takes to become world class in what it is that you do. If you get emotional, if you can't make logical decisions, if you get where you don't follow your rules, if you revenge trade because you're upset that you lost money in a trade and then you try to double down or triple down to make it back and lose again, or if you have things in your life that you're dealing with, maybe you've got a marriage issue or a child issue or something going on at work or something going on in your business, or your investments don't, go the way direction that you want them to go. If you let that get into your head, it will compound where you make more and more decisions in the wrong direction. It's a flywheel. So we have to work on this thing called our mind. We have to work on it deeply and intently in order for us to become the best version of ourselves. Because like Jim Rohn says, great philosopher, I love Jim Rohn. He said, it's not the blowing of the wind. Where he says this, he says, the same wind blows on us all. That's the wind of opportunity. It's the wind of change. It's the wind of the economy. It's the wind of the president, the election, potential world wars, like all of this wind that's blowing, the same wind blows on us all. But it's not the blowing of the wind that determines our destination. It's the set of the sail. In other words, it's not the circumstances that determine where we end up. It's what we do with the circumstances that we're in that determines where we end up. So you got to fortify your mind. That's the reason why we created this section of the Discord, is to help you refine that and help you to fortify that so that you can dominate in what it is that you're trying to do in any economy, in any circumstance, even when things turn against you, where you've got the confidence, the credibility, the competency, and the mindset ready to turn it around in a great direction instead of compounding negative decisions and spiraling. So in the long term, let me just say this, it's not just your analytical skills that will make a difference. It's how you manage your emotions. And in certain market conditions, you need patience. When things get tough, you need discipline, you need perseverance, you need to be able to follow your rules regardless of how you feel, regardless of what your emotions are, and dare to make mistakes, right? There is no reward if there is no risk at all. But you want to take calculated risks. You don't have to be right all the time. You just need to be right more than you're wrong when it comes to investing. You're going to lose some trades. Things are going to happen, and you already know that. But again, these are the things that we have to work on. So today I'm going to teach you a framework that is going to help you tremendously. This has shaped my life over the last probably 16, 17 years. And again, I'll get more into my story at some point, but basically I started my first company about 17 years ago, and we've built several different companies. I did over $100 million in revenue before I was 30 years old, which, by the way, that's a vanity metric. It's not how much you make in revenue. It's how much you keep in profit that counts. But, I do have some background in business and in also speaking on personal development because I'm a consumer of books. I listen to a lot of material. I go to a lot of conferences. I have a lot of different mentors. I invest heavily in personal and professional development because that's what's gotten me to where I am today. But most importantly, that's what's getting me to where I'm going in the future. And I know that about myself. I know that things are going to happen and I need to fortify this because success is about 6 inches long. It's between here and here. Like you've got to, by the way, if you're listening to this on audio, it's between your left ear and your right ear. It's your brain. That's what you got to get thinking right. Because if you think about every single trade you place first starts in the mind. It doesn't start with the click of a button. It starts with you making decisions. So we got to get really good at that. The best trade, the best investment you'll ever make in your life is investing in yourself. Because again, that's the difference maker. It's not just the skill set, it's the mindset. So here's the framework I want to teach you today. I call this the pyramid of belief. If you can imagine a pyramid, a triangle, at the very top are the results that you want. Now for you, I don't know the results that you want. Maybe you want to be a full-time trader and walk away from a job or a career that you don't like. Maybe you've already done that and you want to just be a more successful investor. Maybe you have a defined goal. I want to make 100 grand a year. I want to make 500 grand a year. I want to make $2 million a year. Maybe you have something that you're after, but regardless, there is a result that you're after. You wouldn't be here. You definitely wouldn't be listening to this particular message at this point of the video or audio if you didn't have a result in mind that you're after. Okay? But the result in having a goal, having a target, that's great. But don't we know people that have goals that every year they don't seem any closer to their goal than what they were the year before that, or the year before that, or the year before that? So just having a goal in mind is, although that is important, it's not the only part of the formula because it's not just the results that we want, it's the actions that we take in order to get those results. But don't we all know people who take the right actions who still don't get the right results? I'll give you an example. So you have two people that work sales. One of them gets on the phone every single day and they make 50 calls a day. The second person also makes 50 calls a day. Person A has a defined script that they use on the phone. Person B has the exact same script for the exact same company. Person A has a comp plan that's pretty strong. Person B has the exact same comp plan. How many of you guys know and would agree with me that one of these two people is probably going to outperform the other? And you may say, oh, well, it's about, the actions that they take. Well, no, they did the same exact actions. Whoa, it's about the words that they use. No, they got the same exact script, but they're two different people. And how they approach the phone is different because they're two different people. Even though they're saying the same words, they're calling the same type of leads, they have the same product, the same comp plan, the same company, the same everything. One is going to vastly outperform the other. And why is that? Because it's not just about the actions that you take. It's not just if you get a trade alert or something that's going to help you place a good risk reward trade in the market. It's not just that. It goes below that. So again, at the top of the pyramid, you have the results that you want. Below that are the actions. We know we have to do the right actions to get the result. That makes sense. It's like if you wanted to have a 6-pack abs, but you never go to the gym and you're not on a diet, then we know we're not doing the right actions to get the results. That makes sense. So what's the layer below that? It's belief. It is your beliefs. In other words, it's your philosophies. It's how you think. It's how you manage tough situations. This is the area that we have to work on. Well, you may say, well, how do I change my beliefs up? I can't just get up in the morning and just decide that I've got new beliefs. Well, you're right. You can't just make a decision. But understand this. The first step to change is awareness. If you look at Alcoholics Anonymous program, their number one step out of all the steps that they have is to admit that you have a problem. That's a great way of saying awareness. Be aware. Now, why is that important? Because if you're not aware, the other steps of the program aren't going to work. If you don't think you have a problem, you're not going to follow the program. See how they start with the mindset first? Now, they got all these steps, right? Here's the steps that you got to do. But step number one is to admit you have an issue that you're trying to address. Because if you can't do that, these other steps are not going to work. If you try to follow these steps, you're going to fall off. It's not going to be a successful program. That's the same thing here. That's the reason we work with the beliefs. So how do we change our beliefs? How do we change our mental programming? Well, there's three different categories. So again, at the top of the beliefs pyramid, you have results. Underneath that, you have actions. Underneath that, you have beliefs. The beliefs determine how you do the actions. The actions, based on the way that you believe, and your philosophies determine the results that you get. So how do we change our beliefs? Three categories. Education, environment, and experience. So when I talk about education, yes, I am talking about education like developing your skill set, learning technical analysis, fundamental analysis, different metrics that you follow, like all the different things that you have that develop your trading philosophy. All of those things are your skill set development, which is very important. But it's also your education on things like what you're listening to right now. This is part of your education and changing and help refining your philosophies and your beliefs. So your education is vital. What are you doing? Let me ask you this question. What are you doing every single day to make you better? Not just in your skill set. I'm talking about the way that you think. It's the reason I encourage you to listen to this every single day. I intend to publish this Monday through Friday as best as I can based on my schedule. Typically it'll be in the morning. Some days I travel and I go on vacation and things come up and I won't be every single day. But I encourage you to dive into this every day. Some segments will be short. Some of them will be a little bit longer. Like today, this is a longer training. But your education is vital. What are you doing every single day? What are you listening to? What are your inputs? So your inputs are everything that shapes you as a person. So your education is if you listen to podcasts, do you listen to audiobooks? Do you read books? Do you follow any different blog posts? Are you on this channel getting this information? That's your education. What are you doing every day? At least 10, 15, 20 minutes a day to shape you over time. You know why? Because if you compare yourself to a trader 12 months from now who hasn't done that, they haven't worked on their mindset. All they do is they get up every day, they look at charts, and they do the best that they can. Okay? Or maybe they're trying to develop their skill set, but they're not developing their mindset. You are going to outperform them over time, hands down. That's the way that it works. Think about if you listen to something every day, you're basically marinating in good content that's shaping the way that you think and make decisions. It's so important. So that's your education. Number two is your environment. What does your environment look like? Where do you do most of your trading? Is it a chaotic mess? Is it loud? Are there a lot of distractions? Do you have stacks of bills on the table? Like, do you have junk everywhere? Like, what does your environment look like? And it's not just your physical environment. It's the people that are around you. You are the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. Who are you spending time with? Are you spending time with, degenerate individuals who may be a lot of fun to hang out with, but they're not living a life that you want to change shoes with and be in their shoes? You should have an environment of people that make you better. You should have people that are smarter, wiser, been in the game longer, more successful, more driven, have better philosophies, better values, like people that have a strong character. This is your core team. This is your crew. These are the people that are around you that shape who you are, because you're the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. If you pull out your cell phone right now, look at the last 10 phone calls that you received. Ask yourself this question: what are these people, what are these influences doing to me? Because the law of association tells us, and it is a law, whether you believe it or not, it's like gravity. I don't care if you believe in gravity or not. If you jump off of a building, you're going to find out real quick that gravity is a law, regardless of what you choose to believe about it. It's a law. There's a law of association that says we're the average of the 5 people we spend the most time with, but it also says that our associations are more influential on us than we by ourselves are influential on our associations. What that means is if you're trying to get on a diet, but you go to the dinner table and you got 5 friends that are around you, and the server comes to your left and goes all the way clockwise around the table, and they go around and everybody orders, beer, and everybody orders fried food, and everybody orders all these things that are not on your diet, it's so much harder for you to stick to a diet than it would be if you didn't have those 5 associations around the table. It's a law. It's the way that it is. If you're trying to quit smoking and you hang out with 5 smokers, good luck. If you're trying to quit drinking and you hang around a bunch of drinkers, good luck. If you're trying to get in shape and you're around 5 people who could care less about that, good luck. Your associations are stronger than you are on affecting those associations. So that's part of your environment. So it's literally your physical environment, but it's the people that are around you. And then number 3 is your experience. We all have things in our life that are positive experiences and that are negative experiences. And you have to be very careful because we drag those experiences into our current circumstance. So if you think about life like a book, you wouldn't want to read a book and be in chapter 3 for the next 10 years. Like eventually you want to get to chapter 4. You want to turn the page and get to the next chapter of the story. But I'm telling you, there are a lot of human beings and a lot of people that you know that are stuck in the same exact chapter because they haven't dealt with the things of their past. Maybe last cycle, if you're a crypto investor, maybe you made a bunch of money, but then maybe you gave a lot of it back up to the market. Maybe you didn't sell and you had hopium and market's coming down. You think it's going to bounce and it didn't. And it kept going down, and maybe you even bought more and it went down, and maybe you bought more thinking it's the bottom and it went down, right? If you take that experience and you drag it into your present, and that's haunting you, it will affect your decisions. If your last 3 trades were not profitable and you lost money, if you drag that into your next trade, it can jack you up for the future. So we have to deal with the things of our past. We have to process them. We can't just bury them. I could go on and on and on about this particular topic, but we don't have time today. But we have to deal with those experiences, and we also need to pull from the positive ones. Where are you at today? Where have you conquered? What are some of the goals you used to have that today's just normal? You just wake up and it's normal. Don't ever lose the confidence that you have from those experiences. Think about them. Spend time thinking about areas of your life that you used to one day, someday hope to attain that you've already attained. Maybe it's the house you live in. Maybe it's the car you drive. Maybe it's the amount of assets that you have. That's far greater than the assets you used to have in the past, even if you've lost a bunch of money. Maybe you've made a lot more than what you used to have. You got more in the bank today than you did a year, 2 years, 5 years ago. These are experiences you want to pull into your current circumstance so that it builds your confidence that, hey, if I can go from A to B, and maybe that was years ago, well, certainly I can go from B to C to D to E to F moving forward in my life. I'm going to use that as a confidence for me to go out there and build more, build better, build stronger, build a more successful future. So again, just to recap on this training, I could talk hours on this topic. There's so much to unpack here. But simply for you today is the results that you want are not just good enough. What results are you after? It's good to have a target. What is your target? What's the target that you're after? Underneath that, it's the actions that you take. Are your actions consistent with the results that you say that you want? If you want to make 100 grand, but you're lackadaisical, you're lazy, you're sleeping in, you're making poor decisions, you're not on a good diet, you don't work out, you're not listening to good material, you have negative associations, your work environment's cluttered, then you are literally putting a signal out to the universe saying, hey, what I want, I'm not willing to do what I need to do to get there. So let's make sure our actions are in alignment with the targets that we say that we want. But it's not just that, it's our beliefs. It's our education, our environment, and our experience. How can you shape those 3 things? So that's the question I have for you at the end of today's training. How can you shape those 3 E's? What can you do in your education to level up? Would you commit to listening to this every single day? What can you do to clean up your environment and your associations? And think about those deeply. And then what are you doing with the experiences, the losses, the failures, because we all have them, and the successes of our past? How are we bringing that into our present when we show up today? Ask yourself those 3 questions, and I'll see you tomorrow. Bye for now.